Testing for sound. Test. See some people filing in. Pretty sure you can hear me. See some people. Yep. I heard myself, so all good. Welcome to the old desktop. 2 days in a row. So I'm staring at this RR. What is this? Well, let's backtrack a little, shall we? As people file in, but I always like to just kind of talk about what I'm doing today. I think that's interesting to people. Coming into today, or starting last week, we had a trade of the week called Symbotic, and it took a little more to develop than I thought, but it ran eventually. And the beauty of this one is 40% short. Okay, I'm finding this stuff on my, short scans. All it has to do is have a high short. And I was on Trader TV last week, and I spoke of the fact that, our market had a pretty good V recovery pretty fast. And the stubborn shorts that didn't get out up here, if this market keeps grinding higher, which it is doing, they're going to start to get squeezed. And so we got to pick on the short floats that have the highest percentage, and Sim was one. Well, that's just the first layer of it. The second layer is the fact that it's a robotics company. And I think Tesla's kind of leading the way with the robo-taxi and the Optimus robots. And so the second and third tier robotic company, just the simple stuff that like Sim here, they're not second tier. They're a top-notch company that's going to start signing contracts left and right, in my opinion, as companies realize, oh my gosh, I need to update my workforce with more robots. And so they're just a great solution for that. Giant short float. It's a perfect setup for me because look at this chart. I mean, it's way up there in clean air above all the moving averages. It's exploding with volume with a great pullback. And if you're short this thing, you've got to be miserably concerned. And so therefore we switched to intraday. And if you were with me yesterday, I was talking about how a day and a half is usually the momentum channel. Well, we're pretty much here at a day and a half. I came in long, I bought here. So yesterday I said was day one, and we are now on day two, and we're midday. So everything's lining up perfectly for me because, as I was saying yesterday, if you guys were with me yesterday, all I'm going to do now, I'm in super profit mode. All right, I've got this blue line there. I've got a half. I'm going to sell half of that if I can get to that blue line. And I think there's a possibility because the short float is just absolute second and third stage liquid nitrogen rocket fuel. I think they can get us there. I will be pretty dumbfoundedly surprised. Not too much, but I think we have a chance. I think I have a chance of hitting this line first and getting half my sale off, which again is being contrarian, right? I was buying down here, buying a strong stock that has a big short float, letting it go, sitting patiently, and just riding that rip and trying to get the most out of it. The SPY's just triggered. Let's take a look at what they did. All right, so that was a line I had that basically I think was the prior highs. Yeah, so we're close to prior highs in the S&P. I'll adjust that a little bit right there. But back to Sim. now I'm in the mode of which one's going to fire first. What do I mean by that? Am I going to get just the beauty of a limit sell off here above 38 or wherever this is, 37 something? Or is it going to die on me after a day and a half, like I was preaching to you yesterday? If you were with me yesterday, we were talking about this. First closing candle below my rising 10 SMA on a stock that's full momentum mode, day one, day two. But I fully think, again, we've got so much short float. They're not going to let this thing break. They're buying to cover. And not only that, people are going, hey, wow, robotics, cool. Let me get long this stock. So this is like one of my probably A+ examples of how the trade plan sets up. Identified the stock last week. I was out of town, watching it. Oh, hey, look at that. Ooh, look, 3 days of pullback right at the 10 SMA. That's my sweet spot. Got lucky. Had to ride a little bit of close there. Didn't bother me. But came in long, took the risk home and got a nice gap up. And I think I added to it right here. So I used that first consolidation right at the 10 SMA to add to it. Now I have full strength. Ride it. I was talking to you guys yesterday about here. Ride it. First test today. So far, so good. Just please run right up into this blue line and sell and get me out of half. And that's, I'll call that a perfect trade for me. That's my perfect time frame. It's my perfect style. Let me go around and kind of add to that. All right. So I was going somewhere with that. So I've been around the market long enough to see crazy moves in small cap stocks, new technology, we'll call it. You know, after 9/11, it was security stocks. It was nanotech stocks in the early 2000s. It's cybersecurity. It's always some hot little sector that money and greed, retail and institution and funds, we're all chasing that little hot sector. Brian Shannon and I do it all the time. We try to identify, well, I think robotics might be on the next new hot sector. So you got to start learning the names. And I need to ask Brian to send me that list again. I think he had a list, but for now, and I'm long, these other two names I bought on the open. I'm sorry, not the open. I bought right there on that little holding of the 5-day and moving back up. I bought Serve. All right. Serve is a robotics engaged in self-driving delivery. Hey, sounds good to me. Tesla just had a great weekend with their self-driving. So there's that one. And then there's RR. This one I think is more like just serving up drinks and hospitality stuff. But I would give you guys a project, you know, if you're listening, to go and start to build your list. You can go through you can go through the competitors list and try and find them, or even better, just go to ChatGPT and build a list of who are the up and coming robotics companies, and you can give examples who competes with Symbotic and RR and Serve. So that's one area. And I mentioned yesterday that I started seeing something in these drone stocks. UAVS has been an agricultural drone stock that's just been in a horrible downtrend march forever. Look at that thumbnail chart right there. But all of a sudden came to life back here. What do we got? Early June. Well, why did this UMAC stock come to life same time, early June? Why did RCAT kind of come to life early June right there? Why did ONDS come to life? Volume, I'm looking at the volume early. So if ever there was a time that you could look at the footprints in the sand and say somebody freaking knows something about drones, and like Brian says, price often precedes the headline. I'm seeing something in this little I don't know if it's going to come in a bad headline in the form of war, or a good headline in the form of regulation and the Trump administration fast, but something's coming. And those are 4 names that I just showed you, and I'm long 3 of them. UAVS, underwater, and this one's been stubborn. I was long the last week. ONDS, Andy just showed me this one Monday. I bought this one Monday. And UMAC, bought this one yesterday. UMAC's looking pretty decent. So, you know, for those that are listening, robotics and these drones kind of almost overlapping, if you ask me. Drones are in a sub form of robotics. I'd be doing a lot of research right now and creating and compiling a list, a watch list. And let me say this over here. I've got, this is, everybody has access to their own My Liked list. All you have to do is click the heart symbol to populate this list. Don't do that. There we go. Okay. I would find 50 or 60 names. I've got drones in here. I've got AI in here. I've got quantum computing in here. I've got robotics in here. I've got, the hot names in here. I've got gold and silver names. So I'm always trying to find like 3 or 4 of the most interesting names that I trade. And here's something that I think that's a really important concept. Yeah, we talked about that, Patrick. That's probably coming soon. I think I did give Brad a list of robotic names. Brad, if you're listening. But what I would say to people over here is don't come into the day and go, oh, what's hot? BBA. These names have already run. If you're focusing your attention on your watch list at the high end of the green names, well, you're chasing shit. Now, I told you I was already in SIM. But guess what? 2 or 3 days ago, SIM and the other robot stocks were down here. So what's my point? You build your watch list, and I color grade it based on change from the close. Now, all of a sudden, coming, all right, what's on sale today? All right, MindMed's on sale today. That's interesting. Maybe look at some of it. So your focus should be for establishing new positions is never come up here and start panning through the stuff that you should have already been positioned in. You're just going to be disappointed chasing those names. Focus on this stuff down here, the medium to under stuff, and see if things have been selling off. That's how I found SIM. Selling off for 3 days. And then, so you take your contrarian mentality and you start to build a position. And then if you were listening, like I said earlier, I built a position and then I added to the position right there in that first test of that pop. So those are kind of some of the things I'm in for the most part. I am in Tesla, which was frustrating because it's basically flat where I bought it 3 days ago. I rode that whole roller coaster. Here's a fun one that's just off the kind of beaten path and it's working. So DJT, I think, this is completely oversold. I've been watching it. And then coming into today, you had this flagging pattern and then it got rejected. This was just a horrible rejection intraday. I was watching all this, selling wicks, selling ugly, and then it just broke. I said, okay, well, if it's going to break this morning, which it did, I watched and I said, it makes most perfect sense that if it breaks the 1750 level, everybody's going to have their stops under there. So I started building a position down here under 1750, and I'm basically flat right here. 1744 is my entry. So if I'm wrong and it rolls back to lows, I have a minimal loss that I won't take home. But if I'm right, and everybody that was just panicked because it took out the obvious lows, this is an example of the algorithms running this market. And I'll give it the whole day. If it can bounce back up and start to challenge this 5-day moving average again, I'm already well in the money and I'm going to sit through it and see if I can catch a low. But that's much more unorthodox than like the SIM trade, the symbiotic trade I was doing. I need to ask Brian, but I'm going to tell you the 4 that I'm first, starting with Tesla. That's the granddaddy. Tesla's just going to be in robotics. That's period. And then you've got SYM trade of the week. This is the one that I bought 2 days ago on this weakness. And I'm currently watching. I might pound out of some of it and just book my profits because I got to preach. I got to practice what I preach, which is we got 2 minutes, the first closing candle here. And what I'll do is I'll substitute. I'll just change that order and say change. And I'll turn around. If this closing candle breaks and closes below and starts to stutter, I might watch it for a couple minutes. I fully believe that short float is going to keep this thing floating. So there's Tesla, there's Sim, there is Serve, there is RR, and I'm long those three. But you can start to come to the competitors, and it's not a great list, but let me ask ChatGPT. So you can see I asked order some good stock symbols, competitors to Sim, and also any small cap robotics companies. You see how easy this stuff is? If you guys aren't using, the chat GPTs or the AIs, you're behind. So here's some names I haven't heard of. Okay, there's Serve. There's my buddy Serve. Oh, GFAI, I forgot about them. RR, I'm long that one. So I'll just pull this over. Let's see. Direct competitors. We'll start with direct competitors to Sim. Hang on a second. Okay, so I'll be looking over here at the STRC, the daily chart. Okay, that's not pulling up for whatever reason. STRC. Maybe I had it. Okay, that's not working. RW. They may have been bought out. Okay. Not seeing that either. Maybe these are private companies. This one's a public. That's an ugly chart. Oh, Mavis. I've seen this one. Microvision. Ugly chart. All right, let's move on to small cap companies, the ones I've mentioned. These are the ones that have the most interest to me. Serve, I'm long. That's a good looking chart. GFAI, I forgot all about. I think Andy's looking at that one. It's under the 200 day, but these are the ones you might want to add. I'll show them again. RR, I'm long this one currently. STXS, never heard of this one. That's a decent chart. What do they focus on? Not very much. Volume manufacturers, robotic, magnetic navigation in hospital, surgical. Oh, so they're going to be like hospital robots cruising around little R2D2s in the hospital hallways. Okay. Mayo. Ugly downtrend, not interested. LTRX. Ooh, that's a nice one. What do they specialize in? Service as a software subscription. So there's software management and solutions. Well, whatever. Well, if you want to, you can freeze the screen. And here's the ones that I just looked at. So there's a handful. Serve, GFAI, RR, STX, Mayo. But build your own list. Here you go. Here's an even better comparison. ChatGPT has a new format now where it really kind of breaks things down without you having to even ask. Final thoughts for pure warehouse automation, SYM, STRC, more broadly. Okay. Right. RR and Serve. I seem to have gravitated to these two. So that's really the message. If you're joining late, I'm talking about how the market always wants to find a new darling of technology small caps. I've seen it over 25 years. There's always a new hype that money is chasing. And Sim is my main focus. Hey, coming back to that, we survived my signal candle. There was no closing candle below. Now I've got a green light to maybe push up and sell half at that blue line. So Truth Seeker, there you go. I mean, again, ChatGPT is my favorite, the way it formats and organizes and kind of engages with you and gives you some different breakdowns. Let's check back into the drones. So I'm starting to see this one here. And I think, let's take a look at the profile on this one. one seems to be more like military, maybe. Marketing and sale, no, that wouldn't be. Radio system secure, mission critical. All right, so I could go do more network, but more research. But all I see right here is a stock that came alive when the other drones did. Somebody knows something. And I'm seeing a pretty clean pattern. It's a holding pattern for now, but that's a good pattern. Google owns robotics R&D. Yeah, I'd rather find the small cap stuff, the pure play stuff, Patrick's, because those are the ones that participate in what I call those frenzies where everybody's searching through Reddit and Discord and trying to find the fourth tier, the next best, and all the junk, robotic stocks will start running. That's when you know you're close to the end of that cycle. But those cycles come and go. And what I'm trying to say is be prepared for the next cycle. And I think robotics might be on the horizon, and drones are a subset of that. UAVS is more agriculture based, and they just have a horrible chart. So this one, I don't know, I might cut this one, and I just might start to lean on, move the risk into ONDS, maybe add to ONDS and add to UMAC. So maybe take the risk out of UAVS, because whatever it is, it's just not cutting it. And I'm pretty close to cutting it by the end of the day if it doesn't do anything. But I will keep the risk in the other two. MindMed has been perplexing lately. It doesn't want to really go anywhere, but I'm super bullish on this one longer term. I think RFK Jr. is just going to continue to fast track the alternative medicines. The VA especially has already said we want to do PTSD treatment with psychedelics, etc. So MindMed. Hello, Jim. Oh, let's see. Yeah, Grok, Truth Seeker. I forget Grok. I don't use Grok as much. You know why? Because Trade Ideas pays for a kind of a group plan, which gives us the extra paid version of GPT. So I really get good info there. But Grok is free and it gives you great ones. Thanks for dropping that for anybody else that might want to look. Hi, Jim. Can you share the short squeeze potential alert window? Yeah. So yeah, thank you. I'm glad that resonates with you. I talked about that on Trader TV the last week, that this is the moment. There's not a moment in a bear market and down market to try and play short squeezes, because they're right. They're onto it. But they're wrong. They're leaning wrong. And now we're trying to lean and pick on the really stubborn, weak ones who are in pain. So let's go through a couple concepts here, Jim. By the way, too, I added this for you guys. I really enjoy this use of real estate on my screen. New highs versus new lows. It just gives me a nice feel that for the moment, I don't have to feel like I have to look at my positions. The market's making new highs versus new lows. But there's a couple of different ways in which I've had that formatted. And you guys maybe remember for the longest time, I said, oh, I don't really care about the stock composite rating. So what I'm saying is very short on being accurate. I totally am down with Grok. I just haven't played with it as much as I should. Back to this, we could take the composite rating, Jim, and we could turn that into just junk. And that's what I had it forever to 50, which means show me everything. So you get this major list right here, which is, this is what I'm going to give you and anybody else that wants it. And we can show you how to start with this and pare it down. Okay, so there is that. Now, what I did on Trader TV is I said, oh, okay, so considering this is probably the ripest time to really pick on the short sellers who are stubborn and are not getting out. And so I changed my stock composite rating to basically show me strong stocks like SIM and others. And all of a sudden, look at that there. Look who's at the top, SIM. You guys starting to see how I can find some good trade ideas. Taking use of just paring down and using our data. So that's all you guys have to do with that with that list I just gave you is go into configure and change that 50 to an 80. And now we've got the name called pain. These are the people who are in pain because these are strong stocks in a strong market and they don't want to pull back. So there's some great ideas on here. So suggest anybody who has trade ideas and knows how to play around with those. That's probably, for right now, I think that's the best version. This tree map version is kind of what I was saying earlier. Everything on here, you want to be long already. These aren't names to pull up and chase. However, down here in the bottom corner, there's some low, Hertz has got a big short squeeze potential. It's only up 4%. So we can look at this in a tree map view also, basically is what I'm saying. If we turn the tree map off, it's the same thing. So I have the same scan, but one view is in tree map, and then one view was everything under the sun, but I changed it to say, you know what? I don't want to see all that noise. Show me the ones who are truly in pain. Let's go through them here. Go, that's another good strong chart. Go. Nickname of mine. SPRY. Look at these names. I used to call this the A table for some of you who remember, but I changed it to the word pain now because I think we're in the full-on mode of finding and exploiting pain for people who just don't get how to play the short side, and they're stubborn. These are the most explosive potentials in there. So there's a lot of interesting stuff, but what you don't want to do is chase. And so again, what I would offer you is, you could say, maybe show me the names in here that are down the most, in the last few days. We start at the bottom, I guess is another way of putting that. Look at that. So a stock like LEU with 21% short, only 16 million in the float, strong stock. You can see what happened in hindsight here. Everybody that was short had a very small window to cover, and this thing bounced right back into play. I think I missed a couple questions here. Very short on being accurate. Okay. Okay, I'm glad you clarified that, Wolfhound. I've watched Dan play with it, and the way in which it interacts is different for sure. Yes, exactly, Jim. It's good timing, as I'd mentioned, and which is a great time for an update here. As I said yesterday, I have my account here pointed to our internal testing servers. All the configuration strings are set to go. Just waiting for the green light of the developers to turn on the plumbing so that we can start testing individually here. And what Jim just said is this is going to be the first thing that I gravitate towards with the money machine. All right, so if I turn this sucker right here into basically a tree map as well, this essentially would be the money machine concept. And I can't wait to use it. I just locked up my screen a little bit. Here we go. And so essentially what would happen is the money machine will keep me in the top 3 names of a scan that we've just been kind of, going over and refining. And by all means, I'll share this with anybody. I'm always here Thursday, Jim. That is correct. I was here for Dan yesterday too because he's out of town. Oh, Sim making some 15-minute highs. Let's click on that. That's happy sign. Happy looking visual there. If we break through highs here, I might get my price at 37.85, I think it is. So darn right. Yeah, good point. I'm kind of tie it all together here as the money machine is going to be tested any day now. And hopefully maybe this time next Thursday when you guys come back, I'll be able to talk about how it's going in that respect of the money machine testing using just the simple scan of, hey, we're in a runaway market. So let's pick on the people who are stubbornly short. And it would be this group right here. And if you're coming late, I'll just go ahead and give you this one. Again, it's the same one I shared above, but this one's using our stock composite rating to pare down the really, really juicy ones that are ready to probably pop. Now, do not chase these things. Do not look at sim and go, oh wow, like you just said, it's been up 25% in the last week or whatever. I had the perfect entry. So you've got to, watch these things on a day-by-day basis and go, let's look for one here, like this go or something that needs to pull back. Okay, let's say, well, you know what? I'm going to put a price alert here. Maybe try to eyeball a pretty stiff pullback. And if I can play contrarian and find a level with a good pullback without chasing, it's a pretty safe, good risk reward entry. So this is an example of how you guys want to use, just the price alert to give your future self a tap on the shoulder. UMAC, I want to see that coming through. MindMed, I want to see that coming through. More importantly, UMAC's breaking through its 5-day. I really want to see that. Is that affecting UAVS? I would hope. Maybe. Oh, somebody wanted my layout earlier. Yeah, so I'm going to park this by minimizing that. It'll be there. But I'm happy to save entire layout. My symbol list will not transfer, but everything else will. For whoever asked that. Darga, got it. Wolfhound, I will do that. Yeah, some people use Perplexity for writing. There's another one. Claude. I don't think Claude's very good either. So, ChatGPT is not perfect. Also, I'm more familiar with it because I was the project manager on this in the new version that should be out. We have a Trade Ideas GPT. How can I make my charts color the way I want? Fat finger. If you weren't aware, we basically took all of our documents, videos, and emails, and ChatGPT gives us, a nice little structured and hopefully a link or a video. There's a link. All right. So if you weren't aware, you can access it through the new menu. It's now also a part of Configure. Down here, ChatGPT help, same window. And it's on our homepage. If you're not a user and you want to find out more, just go to the homepage, and the same ChatGPT engine, I believe it's running 4.0, is on there. So there you go. Inside baseball. Let's see. SYM is the star performer, and the plan is, it's getting a little thin up here. What was I just telling you guys yesterday? Day and a half. Momentum seems to want to die after a day and a half. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move that greedy blue line and lock in a really, really good 1/2 of the trade. So I'm going to switch what I have as a limit offer to on my other screen here, of course. I'm going to change that to a stop. I'm going to put that stop at 36.50. 18 cents lower. To take half, profit on half. Even though it hasn't closed below, I'm going to give it a little bit more. 45. And then if I'm wrong, if it shoots back up to that blue line and that blue line triggers, I'll cancel and take it up there. But the reason I'm doing this is because, yesterday, I'm still in Tesla. Yesterday, I was talking to you guys a lot about momentum usually dies after the second day, midday of the second day. And that's where we are right now. and buyers popped right back in there. I haven't changed it yet, but I'm gonna send it now because I just want to lock in half of a good trade. So I've replaced that limit order with a stop at 45. And I can just alert myself. All right. Yeah, I'm still in Tesla, and I'll say Tesla is not a swing trade. I just got so bullish on everything they're doing with the Optimus robot, right? And the robot taxi, robo taxi. That's the reason it took off on Monday. Tesla. So I was super happy camper Monday, and then scratching my head yesterday. I guess the European sales were bad, so I thought, oh, okay, it's not a trade. I'm just going to let it absorb it. And what I had my eye on and still do is this giant bedrock of the 50 and the 200-day lurking right below. So, I mean, I'm willing to give it that. I don't care. That's my thoughts on that. There we go. All right. So, who knows what's going to happen in that sim? But I think it's a good lesson to kind of walk through. Hey, so far so good. So I might be just putting that right back. I think I'm actually going to have to, because I want to be ahead of the curve. I don't want to be chasing price. I want price to come to me. I'm just going to cancel that altogether and start over. Where are you? You cancel. All right. You. I'm going to sell some of you. At 37.89. It's convinced me that it wants to go back to highs here. So, all right, going to sell half at 37.89. The 37s are printing now, and when you got that many shorts at new highs freaking out, it could come fast. Let me cancel this line. And we're just shooting for that. All right, have I missed any questions? Backtracking just to make sure. I don't think so. But 80 cents away for taking half on a really good, hopefully really good trade. We'll see. That's the one that's got my attention. Let's check in on the other two that we were just been doing research on. RR. You know, it just had to work off a little sideways action. It doesn't want to pull back, and that's really, really, really strong. So maybe I'm a day early, but I'm in. Serve, just kind of grinding. So I like these small cap one. Andy's been playing a lot of bigger cap stuff lately, doing well. He was doing good in China. Now he's kind of pivoted to Amazon and Tesla, and he's just kind of moving in and out of the big cap names. You get some smoother trading. I've got more of a stomach for, I think, the small cap stuff that really can whack you around if you're not careful. But the reason I like it is because when it goes in your direction, you can get 15, 20% moves. It's hard to get 15, 20% in Apple and Amazon. There's Sim on highs. I would hate to be short Symbotic. It just jumped 15 cents in a heartbeat. One of the most satisfying things is doing what I'm trying to do here is wait and be patient and get rewarded for your patience by having them panic and reach up and just, because we've all been there on the other side, right? it's the worst feeling in the world. And you just wonder, yeah, I hope the other counterparty enjoyed, taking my shares. But to be that person on the offer, just sitting there at 37, 85, 89, I think it is. Let's see. 37.89. So I'm starting to see some twitching up to the good side in ONDS. Nice little sweet intraday pullback there. And UMAC needs to hold that blue line and bust through. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Let's try that. There we go. So yesterday I talked a lot about this 5-day moving average. And so UMAC keeps butting its head, but pulling back. I'm sorry, UAVS, and pulling its head. Maybe the third time it's going to have enough momentum. And if I see that, I'm not selling a share. I'm just going to let it develop. But when we look, ONDS has already through there respectively. That's why I like this one the most. It's showing the most relative strength of all the plays. And it's just climbing this higher low, the 10-day moving 10 period, bouncing. In this case, the 5-day acted as perfect support. But this UMAC, I said, is now fighting to basically challenge and capture the flag and plant a green closing candle. It still might be a bit early. It might have to pull back and try again. I did buy some Nibis too. Nibis. Why? Because I like strong stocks. That's a strong stock. It's been going sideways. Faked people out yesterday. But all of a sudden, it recaptured, like I was just talking about, it recaptured the flag right there. This green candle proudly stood and closed above the 5-day moving average. And this is a very strong area to be in. So I bought this on the open. Some internal chats here. All right. I'm caught up with questions. If anybody wants me to look at a chart, I always like looking at charts. I'll give you the honest truth. The DJT, I tried to sweep up early using new lows, running the stops, and trying to think like a bot. This is your think like a bot trade. Oh, LNDS, that's a good looking. There we go. If there's one thing I really, really, really try to instill when I'm doing these hour, kind of trader talks is if you're chasing green candles, if you're coming in saying, "Oh, Steve's talking about Symbiotic, I better jump into Sim," you're doing the exact wrong thing. You're chasing the most extended move when I got in down here. And I'm sitting here licking my chops. We're 70 cents away from me selling half to anybody who sees SYM lighting up and saying, "Oh my God, I better get into SimYM." We've all done it. I did it. But I've learned how to not do it. And not only that, but how to take advantage of the opposite side of it. It's called being contrarian, which means I was buying here, right there. Got a nice gift the next day, added to it. Now I'm just sitting here waiting to get my first sale off. People say, "Well, what did you know down here?" Well, what I knew down here was a very strong stock that I didn't chase, but I put on my radar and said, "Oh, note to self, 40% short. These people are going to get a small pullback, but if it builds a base, I want to participate in this." And so far, so good. You know what we haven't been getting? We haven't been getting these nasty pullbacks that we were getting back here. All of a sudden, now that we've broken out and this gap is here, it's been pretty smooth trading, very smooth filling of the gap. There's no headline where all of a sudden you're running around going, oh shit, what's the headline? What's going on? And it was really nothing more than just kind of technical volatility and angst up at high levels. You know, as I say that, we're getting a little bit of a pullback, but it's healthy. Slow pullback, not a wild headline knee-jerk reaction. AI chart. The AIs have been kind of frustrating me lately, I guess, but BBAI finally found its footing and went. Again, this was a 32% short, but this is an example of a stock that just wore me out. Look at all. I put BBAI on the shit list. Somebody reminded me they're in a class action suit. Maybe that was holding it back. I don't know. But AI in itself, it's trying. If it can close back above 25, it looks really good intraday here, but it's under its 200-day. And I'm just starting to question, are the margins there in AI? That there could be another stuff. I don't know. But they're going to have to show me more. Like Sound, that's a mess too. It can't get out of its own way. NNE, is that what, or 9? Okay. Oof. And unless you meant NNE, that's an ugly chart. Just that bad news gap down. That's kind of ugly. I do have thoughts on NNE, the Oklo and NNE and SMR. They've run really far, 100%, 200%, 300%. I think they need to give some back here over the next few weeks. So, as I was saying earlier, right, there's always a hot new sector. Well, nano nukes were the hot sector 2-3 months ago. And then again before that. But they'll come around again. I think robotics could be next. HIMS. Another big ugly gap down. It's under pressure. It's got a lot to prove. It's got a lot to get back. So nothing really special. AI's got a chance, but it's got to close above 25, and then it's got to get back to that 200-day moving average. I prefer things that are, it's above the 50. That's what it's got going for it, and that's the good part. These gold mining, silver mining stocks, they just revving their engines but don't go anywhere. Silver's starting to look good again, Patrick. Groupon, another short squeeze candidate. But when I look at Groupon, it's still got 35% short, but look at that giant reversal candle. When I see a reversal candle like that, immediately I'm not interested, because this tells me stay away for 10, 15, 20 days. We got a major reversal probably happening here. The quant stocks, Iowa and Q, are looking a little better, but there's still been a mess too. Regretti, I've been calling it Regretti, because every time I buy it, I regret it. However, it's a solid pattern that could come to life at any moment. We just need to wonder, are the margins there? But if we see Regretti above 12, I probably want to be participating in that one. I can't help but call it Regretti now. Am I going to get hit on the sim while we're still live for another 8 minutes or so? Possibly. I would be wise to put an alert back in here, though. If it wants to trade back down to this level, I can just cancel and replace this limit order that I have up here just to take half profits and book it. You got to pay yourself when you can, not when you have to. So is the DJT trade going to work out? I don't know. Here's what I was looking at. Basically that level right there. We'll call it more like this. So everybody and their mother that was long DJT trying to pick the bottom, you get this sideways chop, 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 and then you get this major rejection yesterday. Major rejection, major rejection. it said to me, well, you don't want to be long yet, but what's probably going to happen is it's got a date with a stop hunt, a liquidity hunt, where everybody and their mother, like I said, says below that blue line, get me out. I don't want to be in it. Well, I see that as a get me in opportunity. So I watched and I watched, and as soon as it triggered, I started buying a little bit, and then added to it. And now it's working. I hardly had any pain. So again, if I can leave you guys with anything, being contrarian in your entries and your exits make trading a hell of a lot easier. So can I be contrarian in my symbiotic exit of half? Maybe. All I need is another 50 cents or so. Well, 80 cents from there. The real albatross is this darn UAVS, because if we zoom out, it wants nothing to do with this 5-day moving average. You see that? It's a really long time frame of 15-minute candles. That right there is not something that really makes me happy. When we compare it to ONDS, which has easily bounced off of its 5-day, or UMAC, the other two drone stocks. UMAC is fighting it, trying to make me happy, but we're getting to what I call a pinch play. Solid resistance of that, but rising momentum of this, it's going to have to resolve, and whichever way it resolves kind of usually dictates what I do. Oni. Daily chart. Nice wick, because the recovery this morning was kind of a stop hunt, liquidity hunt. Good start by getting back above these two intraday moving averages here. China stock. Not bad. I'll tell you what. The thing is, it probably won't trade above, but it'll gap above because it's China. If it wants to go, it'll gap above that 20. But you can probably expect to find resistance up here. ONDS just keeps creeping. I like that one. Boy, that's a tight range. In RR, they're basically a 4-cent range for a $2 stock. I'm betting on this thing exploding at some point. Got to go. Bye. Me too, Jim. I got to go. Okay, one more. Unity software. Let's look at Unity. Nothing really happening except back here. It's just been grinding back down to its moving averages. Intraday, under its moving averages. Nothing really special. Software company, gaming, video game. Nothing really exciting there for me. I like this ONDS, though, I'll tell you that. This one still could be early. If I had to pick one of the drone stocks I like, it's this one. Your downside here is 158. Yeah, BBAI, I was mentioning earlier, I was playing this one the last couple of weeks, and it just wore me out back here. It never went. And then it decided to go without me because I basically put it on the do not trade list. Now, once stocks explode like this, they get volatile. So that's a big move. This is a big move. This could turn into a big move here. So you can play it if you want, but it's kind of broken to me at the moment. The big move was the first day it broke out. The most interesting day to me was when it broke through that line above there. If I had any trust in it, I would have grabbed as much as I could. But from here, it's just it can go either way. It gets really noisy. Let's put it that way. All right, guys, I got to run. Got a meeting. hopefully find out more about the Money Machine. And again, first thing I'll probably want to trade if this market stays strong and bid are these short squeeze names. I'll immediately attach that and let you know how it goes. Are you mad or are you asking me to look at GRRR? Let's see. That's a stock. And if you are, Gorilla Technology doesn't look bad. Waste management. It doesn't look bad because the people that chased are just getting obliterated. So what I would do is I'd put maybe a price alert like right there. 7% short, not much. And if that price alert triggers, then you can be good to go. All right. Thank you, guys. Pleasure. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you, Bill. Andy's in tomorrow. I'll be back next Thursday. Made it through the chest cold. All right. See ya.